So I just saw Alita Battle Angel, and it was It wasn't terrible, it was just kind of boring. I guess my biggest issue is that it was pretty difficult to care about the plot. I wasn't invested too much in what was going on. It did have some fun action sequences that were well executed for the most part. When it comes to the violence in this film, this is one of the more R-rated PG-13 movies I've seen, if that makes sense. I mean, most of the violence is happening towards cyborgs, but there is a human being that gets cut in half and people die. Now, I've never seen an episode of the original anime, but after looking up some clips on YouTube, it seems as though they changed it so that the cyborgs have blue blood instead of actual blood, which is, I guess, something that they had to do to get the PG-13 rating. But judging this film on its own, it didn't really lessen the impact of the violence for me. Although I do have to admit that seeing an actual R-rated version of this probably would have been more entertaining for me. There are some points in the movie where the violence was off-screen because they chickened out, but overall there was some interesting action with real consequence in it. I just wish this action were taking place in a film where I actually cared about the plot. As far as the actual story goes, for the most part it's just cheesy, boring, and formulated. The musical score in this film is more or less interchangeable with any other high-budget action-adventure movie. It's fairly overbearing and it just makes the whole thing feel cheesier. The special effects, although well done for the most part, were just kind of overbearing. A lot of it looks very impressive, but it still just doesn't feel real. It's difficult to believe that they're standing in the middle of a stadium when it's just so obvious that they're just in front of a green screen. It was at that moment where I realized that the characters were essentially just whispering to each other there too. Aren't you supposed to be in a super loud environment? Why didn't they film them talking louder? The decision to make the main character have super big eyes for no reason was also kind of weird. I mean, the character that Jennifer Connelly plays also had big eyes in the anime, so why didn't they do anything with that? On one hand, it makes her look more cute and innocent, I guess, but then every time we see a tear come from one of her eyes, it just doesn't feel genuine. It feels like it's less about the character experiencing emotions and more about James Cameron wanting to show off his special effects. It's like we're supposed to feel sad for her while the film is simultaneously saying, hey, doesn't this look cool? Overall, this film wasn't really a negative experience. It was just kind of fine, I guess. It delivered on the action, but not much else. The performances weren't terrible, but they weren't anything special either. For the most part, this movie is kind of just bland and forgettable. Apparently people are watching it though, so who knows, maybe we'll see a sequel. The way the film ends, it's painfully obvious that they've set themselves up for one, which was kind of surprising. Anyway, check this one out if you want. It's nothing amazing, but it's not complete garbage. You might have fun, you might be bored, it all depends on what you want out of a movie, I guess. And I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10.